My name is Mira, but I wonder if names matter when life itself rejects you. From the day I opened my eyes in this world, I have been called many things, poor, cursed, forgotten. Yet none of those words hurt me as much as the silence of hunger in my home, the silence of a man who could not provide, the silence of neighbors who watched me fade but never stretched a hand. I was pregnant when despair pressed me hardest. The room where I lived was not a room, but a broken box with a leaking roof. The rain entered more than food did. Buckets lined the corners, and I sometimes prayed that the sky would pour rice instead of water. My husband was a man of bones and shame, walking from site to site, begging for work that never came. He returned home with empty palms and a heart that broke a little more each night. We had no salt, no oil, no bed worth the name. I often lay awake, one hand on my belly, listening to the small heartbeat of the child inside me, wondering if it was a blessing or another chain tied to my ankles. Hunger is not just in the stomach, it lives in the mind, it gnaws on the heart. One night, when hunger pressed like a blade against my ribs, I broke. I fell on the floor, tears burning my face, and I lifted my voice, not in prayer but in rage. God, I cried, why did you give me this life? Why place a child in my womb and leave me to rot in hunger? Why let me marry a man who cannot even afford salt? Do you enjoy watching me waste away? Does my suffering amuse you? My husband, lying weakly on the mat, begged me to be silent. But silence had already killed me many times. The words poured out like blood from an open wound. If you will not answer me, then maybe I will find another power to help me. Because I cannot live like this anymore. That was when a knock came at the door. A soft, slow knock. And there she was, my old school friend. Her face was smooth with comfort, her wrapper rich with silk, her wrist heavy with gold. She stepped into my room and immediately filled it with the fragrance of wealth. She looked at me with pity that cut deeper than insults. Mira, she said gently, you cannot keep living like this. I covered my face. What do you want me to do? I have prayed. I have begged. God is silent. She leaned closer, her smile thin. Maybe God is not the only answer. Her words pierced me. What do you mean? I mean, she whispered, there are powers greater than hunger. Powers that answer when God folds his arms. Powers that lift beggars into palaces. I shook my head. What powers? She touched my shoulder. I cannot explain, but I can show you. There is a gathering tonight. If you are ready to stop crying and start living, you will follow me. My heart fought, but my belly was empty. The thought of another night with no food, another month of watching my husband shrink into shame, another year of being mocked by neighbors. I broke. I will go, I whispered. Her smile widened. She stood and led me into the night. We walked through dark streets until we reached the place where 3 roads crossed, where dead tires burned and smoke sat in the air like a curse. There, figures in dark robes stood in a circle, silent, watching. In the center sat a man with a staff made of bone. His eyes glowed faintly red, and when he spoke, his voice filled the air like a drum. You have come to us because you are tired of pain. Yes, I breathed. You want wealth. You want freedom. You want your child to be born into plenty, not poverty. Yes. Then you must give us what we ask. What will you ask? I stammered. The man raised his staff. 2 women brought a bowl filled with thick, red liquid. It smelled like rust and smoke. This is the water of covenant, he said. Drink and the door of wealth will open. I looked at my friend. She nodded, urging me. With trembling hands, I lifted the bowl and drank. The liquid burned down my throat. My body shook, my eyes blurred. The circle cheered. Now the oath, the leader declared. 2 masked women tied a red cloth around my wrist. My finger was pricked, and blood dripped into the bowl. Repeat after me, the leader commanded. I, Mira, give myself to the circle. I, Mira, give myself to the circle. I surrender what I love, that I may gain what I lack. The words cut me, but I repeated them. I surrender what I love. The circle roared in approval. Then the leader's voice fell like a blade. Your first sacrifice is the man who sleeps beside you. My heart stopped. What? Your husband, the leader said. The one who lies on a mat with empty hands. His blood is the price of your freedom. Kill him, and wealth will pour into your house. Refuse, and you will die with him in poverty. My world spun. My lips trembled. My belly tightened around the child within me. The circle began to chant, blood for bread. Blood for bread. My friend leaned close, whispering poison into my ear. Do it, Mira. He has failed you. Choose your child. Choose life. Tears blurred my vision. I saw my husband's weary face in my mind, gentle, broken, still clinging to hope. Could I kill him? Could I? The night was heavy, choked with smoke and silence. Mira stood frozen, the red cloth tied around her wrist, her lips trembling as the circle's chant echoed like drums from another world. The staff of bone tapped against the earth, each strike sealing her vow deeper into her blood. And then, through the swirling smoke, her husband appeared. His eyes were wide with disbelief, his face pale in the firelight. He staggered closer, weak from hunger, but his voice broke the circle's rhythm. Mira, he whispered, each syllable drenched in hurt. What have you done? Myra's knees buckled. Tears burned her eyes, but the circle moved swiftly, encircling her husband as though his presence had been expected. You came at the right time, the leader intoned, his eyes glowing faintly red. The first sacrifice is already here. No, Mira cried, her voice tearing the night apart. He wasn't meant to. He wasn't supposed to see this. But her old friend laid a firm hand on her shoulder, her smile cruel and knowing. The circle wastes nothing, Mira. Fate has brought him. Do not fight what is already sealed. Her husband's eyes searched her face, desperate, broken. Is this true? Did you promise them my life? Mira shook her head violently, sobbing. I didn't know. It wasn't supposed to be you. I only wanted food. I only wanted a way out. The circle began to chant again, low and steady. Blood for bread. Blood for bread. Her husband stumbled back, his voice shaking. Mira, after everything, you would trade me for coins? You would give them my blood. She reached for him, but the leader's staff blocked her. The bone pressed cold against her chest. The oath cannot be broken, the leader declared. You swore with blood. Now blood must answer. The masked women stepped forward with knives that glinted in the firelight. Mira screamed, clinging to her belly as if her unborn child could shield her from what was about to happen. Her husband dropped to his knees, hands clasped, his tears falling into the dust. God, if you still see us, don't let her do this. Don't let her carry this curse. But God's silence hung like iron in the night. The leader raised his staff high, ready to strike the ground for the final command. Myra's friend leaned close to her ear, her whisper a blade wrapped in silk. Choose him or choose yourself. His death is the key to your wealth. Without it, you and your child will starve. Myra's world spun. She saw her husband's gentle eyes, weary but full of love. She saw the knives, the circle, the oath tied to her wrist. And then, before she could speak, her husband did the unthinkable. He pulled a knife from the ground and placed it in her trembling hand. If it must be me, he said, voice raw, then let it be you, Mira. Let my death come from your hand, not theirs. The circle erupted in wild chants, their voices echoing through the night. Mira stood frozen, the knife cold and heavy, her husband kneeling before her, his chest bare, his tears shining like glass. Her heart screamed, her lips quivered, and the child inside her kicked against her ribs as though sensing the blood about to fall. The leader's voice thundered, "Strike now, Mira, or the circle will strike for you." And in that moment, the fire roared, the night closed in, and Myra's scream broke the heavens. The knife trembled in Myra's hand, glinting in the firelight like a living thing. Her husband knelt before her, chest bare, eyes drowning in tears. The circle chanted louder, their voices drumming into her skull. Blood for bread. Blood for bread. Her body shook as if every bone inside her wanted to escape. She wanted to scream, to run, to vanish into the dark night. But the red cloth around her wrist tightened like a snake, burning her skin. The oath had already chosen her. "Mira," her husband whispered, his voice low but clear. "If my death will save you, then take my blood with your hands. Let it not be strangers. Let my eyes see you one last time before they close." Her sob cracked the night. "No, I can't, don't ask me." But the circle only roared louder, stamping the ground with their bare feet. Smoke rose, fire hissed, and the night itself seemed to bend toward blood. The leader raised his staff and thundered, "Do it now, Mira. Do it or lose everything." Myra's hand quivered, the blade inches from her husband's chest. Her heart was tearing into two halves, one screaming for love, the other clawing for survival. She saw the face of her unborn child in her mind, small, fragile, hungry. And she saw her husband weak, broken, but still clinging to love. "I can't," she whispered. And then it happened. Before the knife could fall, a masked member of the circle lunged forward and struck. Steel flashed, and Myra's husband gasped as blood spilled across his chest. His eyes widened, his lips parted, and he staggered forward into her arms. "No!" Mira screamed, her cry cutting through the chants like glass breaking. She dropped the knife and tried to stop the flow of blood with her hands, but it poured through her fingers, hot and unstoppable. Her husband's breathing rattled. His eyes searched hers desperately, as though begging for an answer she could not give. "Mira, why?" His voice was faint, fading into the night. Tears flooded her vision. "I didn't. I swear I didn't. It wasn't me." But the circle cheered, raising their hands as if a great victory had been won. The leader struck the ground with his staff. "The sacrifice is complete. The door has opened. Wealth will follow you, Mira. Your child will not starve." Myra's body shook violently as she clutched her dying husband. His blood soaked her wrapper, warm against her skin. His hand trembled against her cheek, leaving a streak of red across her face like a curse. With his last breath, he whispered, "You chose them, not me." And then his body went limp. Mira screamed, shaking him, begging him to wake, but his chest no longer moved. The night swallowed her cries. Her friend bent down beside her, a cruel smile playing at her lips. "Do not waste tears on him. He was a burden, Mira. Now the way is clear. Now you are free." Mira turned on her, eyes wild. "Free? You call this freedom? Look at what you've made me do." But the circle ignored her grief. They placed a small bag of coins at her feet, shining faintly in the firelight. The leader's voice was calm, almost soothing. "You have paid the first price. Soon you will see blessings. But remember, wealth must be fed. Before your child draws its first breath, another sacrifice will be required." Mira froze. "Another?" The leader's smile was slow and cold. "Yes, the circle gives, and the circle takes. This is only the beginning." Her body went weak. She fell against her husband's corpse, trembling, rocking back and forth as though she could shake life back into him. The chants of the circle echoed in her ears, a song she knew would haunt her forever. The fire dimmed. The smoke thinned. One by one, the dark figures slipped into the shadows until only Mira, her friend, and her husband's lifeless body remained. Her friend placed a hand on her shoulder. "Mira, listen to me. You will understand soon. The pain will fade, but the wealth will remain. Trust me." Mira shoved her hand away. Her voice cracked into the night. "If this is wealth, then may God curse it. May every coin burn like fire in my hands." Her friend's smile faltered for the first time, but she said nothing. She simply turned and walked away, her gold bangles jingling like mockery. Mira remained on the blood-stained ground, clutching the man she had loved, the man she had lost. Her tears mixed with his blood until the earth beneath them became mud. The moon slid behind a cloud, and in the sudden darkness, Mira heard a faint sound. Knock! Knock! It wasn't from the door of her house. It wasn't from the circle. It came from inside her. Her unborn child had moved. Once. Twice. A strange, steady rhythm, as though two hearts beat inside her womb instead of one. Mira froze, her hands pressing against her belly. The memory of the leader's words echoed in her mind. Before your child draws its first breath, another sacrifice will be required. The blood on her hands had not yet dried, but already another shadow of death stretched toward her. And for the first time that night, Mira was truly speechless because deep inside her, she could feel it. Her child was no ordinary child. The months that followed her husband's death were a storm Mira thought would kill her. She carried her pregnancy alone, haunted by the memory of the circle's chants and the feel of his last breath on her cheek. Sometimes she hated the life inside her. Other times she clung to it as the last reason to keep breathing. Every night she would press her hands to her belly and whisper through her tears, "Child, forgive me. I have failed already, but I will not fail again. Even if the circle comes for us, I will protect you. Even if it takes my blood, you will live." The circle returned only once before her delivery, demanding another sacrifice. But Mira, with trembling courage, refused. "You may have taken my husband," she spat through her tears, "but you will not take another. If wealth means blood, then I choose poverty. If freedom means death, then I choose chains. I will not kill again." The leader's red eyes had burned with rage. "Then you will suffer," he said, his voice like smoke. And she did. They cursed her womb, they cursed her house, they cursed her name. But Mira no longer bent to them. For the first time, she realized the circle was powerful. But so was the heart of a mother who had nothing left to lose. When her time came, the sky itself seemed to mourn. Rain pounded the leaking roof, thunder shook the walls, and Mira's cries echoed through the night. Alone with no midwife, she fought for every breath, every push, every scream. And then silence. The baby's cry did not come at once. Only the storm outside. Mira's body trembled with fear. "God, please," she wept. "Don't take this one from me. Please." Finally, a sound split the night, two cries at once. One soft, one sharp. One like a song, the other like a warning. Mira looked down, and her tears blurred the sight. Her child, her miracle, her curse. The baby had two heads. One face turned toward her with innocent eyes. The other blinked as if it saw something beyond the walls. Both mouths cried together, a harmony of sorrow and life. For a long moment, Mira froze. The circle's prophecy had come true. Her child was different. Her child was marked. She could have screamed. She could have cursed. She could have rejected the life in her arms. But instead, she pulled the baby close, pressing both faces to her chest. "My child," she whispered, kissing them through her tears. "They will call you cursed. They will call you monster. But I call you miracle. You will not live in shame. You will live in strength. Where others see sorrow, you will be a sign of survival." The storm outside calmed, as though heaven itself bowed to her vow. Days turned to weeks, weeks to months. Neighbors gossiped. Some pitied. Some mocked. But Mira walked with her head high, carrying her baby wrapped in white cloth. She sold small goods at the market, worked in the hot sun, begged when she had to. But never once did she return to the circle. She would say to her child at night, "They wanted your life for darkness, but God gave you to me for light. If the world rejects you, I will not. If the world laughs, I will dry your tears. You are not a curse. You are proof that even in ashes, life can bloom." Her words became a shield. Her tears became water. Her love became fire. Years later, when her child with two heads learned to walk, the same neighbors who once whispered began to marvel. The child was different, yes, but brilliant, two minds, two voices, one heart. They spoke wisdom beyond their years, words that made even grown men fall silent. People traveled far just to see the child. Some came in fear, but many left in awe. They began to call the child a sign from God, a living proof that pain can birth power and sorrow can bring forth strength. Mira, once mocked and abandoned, became a name people spoke with respect. She was the woman who endured hunger, betrayal, and loss, yet still raised her child with love unbroken. And in the quiet of her heart, she knew her husband's death had not been in vain. For though the circle demanded his blood, what grew from it was not wealth of coins, but wealth of meaning. On a bright morning, standing before a crowd that had gathered to see her child, Mira lifted her voice, trembling but strong. Do not laugh at the broken, for they may carry the light you need. Do not despise the poor, for their pain may be birthing a miracle. I lost everything, yet here I stand with more than I ever dreamed. My child is not a curse but a message. Even in the darkest night, hope can be born. The crowd was silent. Some wept, some bowed their heads. And in that moment, Mira smiled through her tears, kissing both faces of her child. The past was full of pain, yes, but the future held light. Sometimes life breaks us so badly that we think we cannot go on. Sometimes hunger, shame, and grief bury us alive. But even in the deepest darkness, there can be a birth, something unexpected, something different, something the world cannot understand. Do not curse your pain, for it may carry the seed of your greatest miracle. Mira's story ended not with wealth of gold, but with wealth of meaning. She raised her child, the girl with two heads, not as a symbol of shame, but as proof that no darkness can kill a mother's love, and no curse can silence the strength of survival. Thanks for watching. Kindly subscribe to get notified for more intruding stories.